quote, statement that I read will shed light on this, because this is the very core and essence. There is something in the soul that is so akin to God that it is one with Him. It has nothing in common with anything created. Okay, slight rephrasing. There is something in you that is so akin to God that it is one with Him. It has nothing in common with anything created. Anything created refers to the world of form, physical forms or mental formations. There's something in you that is uncreated, timeless, eternal, an essence that has no form, and that is the source of your consciousness. The question is whether you can sense that in yourself at this moment. Not through knowing anything. There's no understanding or knowing in the conventional sense. Stillness, of course, is an inseparable part of knowing that essence in you, the uncreated. By the way, Eckhardt uses the word nothing in common with anything created, in other words, uncreated, which is also a Buddhist term. Not that he had ever even heard of Buddhism. By the way, I have said several times before in various occasions, the best text if you want to understand Buddhism is to read Master Eckhaert, who had never heard of Buddhism. But there is although I love Buddhist teaching, it points to the essence in a clearer way than most other teachings. But Meister Eckhaert is so powerful that there's nothing that surpasses that in any Buddhist text, and he goes to the very essence of the Buddha's teaching. Obviously, if the truth is one truth. Another little thing to help you, another statement by him. The outward man or woman, man means human being here, the outward man is the swinging door. The inner man is the still hinge. So if you can feel these two aspects to yourself, deep within you are the hinge, a point of absolute unmovable stillness or presence. That's the inner being. The outer is the swinging door. And there's the question is whether you are connected with that, whether you can sense the hinge. We could call it the being, even as you move about mentally and physically, even as you are the swinging door. When you read Meister Eckhaert, you will find that sometimes he uses two words. He uses God quite often, of course, because that is the terminology that he needed to use. But he also uses the word Godhead. So God and Godhead are not quite the same. They are and they aren't. That's an important distinction. And I'll just read to you a very brief passage where he explains the difference. And then, of course, it all comes back to something within you. It's always something to be known within you, not some abstract truth to be believed in. God becomes God when all creatures speak God forth. There God is born. When I was still in the ground, in the depths, in the flood and source of the Godhead, no one asked me where I wished to go or what I was doing. But as I flowed forth, all creatures uttered, God. If someone were to ask me, Brother Eckhardt, when did you leave your house? Then I was in there. This is how all creatures speak of God. And why do they not speak of the Godhead? All that is in the Godhead is one, and of this no one can speak. God acts, while the Godhead does not act. There is nothing for it to do, for there is no action in it. It has never sought to do anything. The difference between God and Godhead is that one acts and the other does not. If I return to God but do not remain there, then my breakthrough is far better than my flowing out. I alone free all creatures from their own ratio into my reason, my consciousness, so that may all be one in me. Now, he recognizes that this is difficult for people to understand. Therefore, he adds, whoever has understood this sermon, I wish them well. Had no one been here, I would still have had to preach it to this collecting box. In churches they have the collecting box. He had to preach it. If no one had been there, he would have preached it in an empty church. God and the Godhead. Godhead, some of you may remember we talked a while ago about the Tao Te Ching, the ancient Chinese book of wisdom. Tao Te Ching. The Ching is the book. The Tao is that which cannot be named, the source of all life. The Te, Tao Te, Te is usually translated as virtue. That's a mistranslation. The true meaning of Te is power. So the Tao Te Ching is the book about the Tao, that which cannot be spoken of, and its power. Godhead and God. So Godhead is what Buddha calls the unmanifested, the unborn, the uncreated, or the emptiness. The very source out of which God, the Te, emanates. And so this God is the active principle. This God is the underlying, the intelligence that pervades and underlies and organizes and empowers the world of form that creates this body, this human being, this flower, So the intelligence underlying this universe is the Te, or God, in its various manifestations. At the source of it all is absolutely unknowable, but the Godhead or the Tao is your innermost essence. That is the still hinge in you. So it is the fulfillment of our destiny as a human being to connect with that, to know that consciously. It's a return to the source, without disappearing in the source, but to know the source within you, the unmanifested, the unborn, the uncreated, and then be able to act in this world being used by God, the emanation of the One. So returning to the source, that's what it is all about, and then living from the source.